I need to tell you something while I still can. I'm 83 years old and I've been watching people, younger people, people my age, spend their whole lives waiting for permission that's never going to come. I did that. I'm Margaret, and I'm running out of time to tell you what I finally understand. If you're younger than me, you might think you have forever to figure things out. If you're my age, you already know you don't. I was 47 when I first noticed it, the waiting. I was standing in the kitchen of the house Richard and I had lived in for 20 years. The children were mostly grown. The mortgage was halfway paid. Everything was exactly where it was supposed to be. And I remember thinking, when does my life start? Not the life I was living. The one where I could paint again like I used to when I was 19. The one where I could take that ceramics class at the community center. The one where I finally went back to visit my hometown, the one I'd left when Richard got transferred, and we never quite made it back to. I was waiting for the right time, when things were less busy, when we had more money saved, when the kids were completely independent, when Richard retired. I was waiting for permission, from circumstances, from other people, from some invisible authority I'd invented that would tell me, now you're allowed to want things for yourself. That permission never came. And before I knew it, I was 60, then 70, then here. The kitchen smelled like coffee that morning when I was 47. There was light coming through the window over the sink, hitting the counter in a way that made the laminate look almost pretty. I had my hands in dishwater. Again, I thought about my mother, how she used to stand at a sink just like this one, washing dishes for a family that barely noticed her. How she died at 71, having never been anywhere, never done anything just because she wanted to. I thought, I'm not going to be like that, but I already was. Because here's what I didn't understand then. Waiting for permission is just another way of saying no to yourself, over and over, until saying no becomes so automatic you forget you're doing it. When I was 23, I wanted to take a bookkeeping course, a real one at the college, not just for work, though it would have helped, but because I liked numbers. I liked the way they made sense when nothing else did. Richard said we couldn't afford it. We had one baby and another on the way. Money was tight. He wasn't wrong. Money was tight. But I didn't fight for it. I didn't say, this matters to me. I didn't even think I was allowed to say that. I thought maybe later, when things are easier. 30 years went by. Things never got easier. They just got different. And one day I woke up and realized I'd forgotten I ever wanted to take that course. The want had disappeared so completely, it was like it never existed. That's what waiting does. It doesn't postpone your life. It erases it. I had a friend once. Her name was Gloria. We worked together at the payroll office in my 50s. She was maybe 5 years older than me, divorced, no kids. Gloria took a pottery class every Tuesday night. She wasn't good at it. She showed me pictures once, and honestly, her bowls were lopsided and her vases looked drunk. But she went anyway. I remember asking her why she bothered if she wasn't any good. She looked at me like I'd asked her why she bothered breathing. She said, because I like it. Just that, because I liked it. I didn't understand. I thought hobbies were supposed to be productive, useful, something you could show for it. The idea of doing something just because you enjoyed it, not because you were good at it, not because anyone else cared, not because it served some larger purpose. That felt selfish to me. So I didn't take any classes. I didn't join any groups. I didn't do anything that didn't have a clear, justifiable reason attached to it. And Gloria kept making her terrible pottery. She died 6 years ago. Her daughter came to clean out her apartment and found shelves full of those wonky bowls and crooked vases. She told me she almost threw them all away, but then she kept one, put it on her kitchen counter, uses it to hold fruit. She said it makes her think of her mom every time she sees it. I have nothing like that. Nothing I made just because I wanted to. Nothing that proves I existed outside of obligation. When Richard got sick, I took care of him. Of course I did. That's what you do. But there were days, and I'm not proud of this, when I would sit in the hospital room watching him sleep, and I would think, after this is over, I'll do something for myself. I had a list in my head, not a written list, just things I'd been collecting for years, small things. I wanted to see the ocean again. I'd only seen it once, on our honeymoon, and I barely remembered it. I wanted to learn to make bread from scratch, the real way, not from a mix. I wanted to plant a garden, a real one, with vegetables and flowers mixed together, not the neat rows Richard preferred. He died on a Tuesday afternoon. The light in the room was gray. There was a nurse I didn't know checking his vitals when it happened. She was kind. She left me alone with him for a while after. I sat there holding his hand. It was still warm, and I thought, now I can do those things. But I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe because doing them felt like celebrating his death. Maybe because without him to wait for permission from, I didn't know how to give it to myself. Maybe because I'd spent so long being the kind of person who put herself last that I'd forgotten how to be anything else. The house felt wrong after he died. Too quiet. Too big. Full of his things and my things, but nothing that felt like ours. I would walk through the rooms and think about all the years we spent there, the children growing up, the arguments that never quite resolved, the dinners eaten in silence, the bills paid, the grass mowed, the life lived. And I couldn't remember choosing any of it, not the house, not the city, not the way we arranged the furniture or the color we painted the walls or how we spent our weekends. It had all just happened, one decision leading to another, none of them really decisions at all, just the path of least resistance. My youngest daughter came to visit maybe 3 months after Richard died. She was worried about me. She's a worrier, that one. Gets it from me, probably. She sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd sat for 40 years, and she asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. She said, "Mom, what are you going to do now?" And I realized I didn't know. I'd spent my whole life doing what needed to be done, what I was supposed to do, what other people needed. But what I wanted, what I was going to do just for me, I had no idea. I still don't really, and I'm 83 years old. That should scare me more than it does. There's a woman who lives 3 houses down from me. Her name is Ruth. She's younger than me, maybe 75. But her husband died around the same time Richard did. Last spring, she started taking dance classes, ballroom dancing, by herself. I saw her getting into her car one evening wearing heels and a dress that looked like it cost more than my monthly grocery budget. She looked happy, nervous maybe, but happy. I wanted to ask her how she did it, how she decided it was okay to want something, to do something, to take up space in the world in a way that wasn't about taking care of someone else. But I didn't ask, because I was afraid the answer would be something simple, something I could have done 30 years ago if I'd just allowed myself. I think that's the worst part. Not that I waited too long, but that I didn't have to wait at all. No one was stopping me. Richard never told me I couldn't do things. He wouldn't have cared if I took a class, or joined a club, or spent money on something I wanted. The only person who said no was me. I said no so many times, so automatically, that I built a life out of no's, out of laters, out of maybes and somedayas and when things settle downs. And things never settled down. They just ended. I think about my granddaughter sometimes, the 16-year-old. She wants to study art. She's talented, really talented, not just grandmother bias talented. But she's afraid it's not practical, afraid she won't be good enough, afraid of disappointing people. Last time she visited, she showed me her sketchbook. She does these charcoal drawings, faces mostly, and they're haunting. Beautiful. I asked her if she was going to apply to art school. She said maybe, probably not. It didn't make sense. There was no future in it. And I heard myself, 50 years ago, telling myself the same thing about bookkeeping classes and painting and every small want I ever had. I wanted to grab her shoulders, to shake her, to tell her, don't do this, don't wait, don't save your life for later because later doesn't come, not the way you think it will. But I didn't say any of that, because who was I to give advice? I who did everything right and ended up here, alone, with nothing to show for my life except a clean house and grown children who call out of obligation. Instead, I just said her drawings were beautiful. And she smiled and closed the sketchbook. And I watched her tuck her dreams away the same way I did, the same way my mother did. The same way women in my family have probably been doing for generations, tucking ourselves away, making ourselves small, waiting for permission to exist fully. I'm 83 years old. My body hurts most days. My hands shake when I try to do things that used to be simple. My memory isn't what it was. But none of that is what keeps me up at night. What keeps me up is the knowing, the understanding that came too late to matter, that I could have lived differently, not drastically differently. I didn't need to run away or start over or make some grand dramatic change. I just needed to say yes to myself sometimes, to small things, to wants that didn't hurt anyone else but felt too selfish to claim. I needed to take the pottery class, learn to make bread, plant the messy garden, take the bookkeeping course, go back to painting, visit my hometown, dance, laugh too loud, take up space, want things, choose things, live on purpose instead of by default. But I didn't. And now I'm here, and I have to live with that, not with anger. I'm past anger, not even with regret, really. Regret feels too sharp for this. This is just knowing, seeing clearly what I couldn't see before, understanding that the life I was waiting to live was already happening, and I missed most of it because I was too busy waiting. I still have a sketchbook. Did I mention that? It's in a drawer in my bedroom. I bought it maybe 30 years ago, thinking someday I'd start drawing again. The pages are yellowed now, still blank. I took it out last week, held it in my hands, felt the weight of all that empty space, and I thought about filling it, even now, even at 83 with shaky hands and fading eyes. But then I thought, what's the point? I'm not going to get good at it. I'm not going to have time to become anything resembling an artist. It would just be an old woman's scribbles. And then I heard Gloria's voice in my head from 30 years ago. Because I like it, I haven't drawn anything yet. But the sketchbook is on my kitchen table now instead of in the drawer. That's something. Maybe. I'm grateful for what I had. I am. I'm grateful I got to raise my children, grateful I had a roof over my head and food on the table, grateful for the handful of moments when life felt full instead of just full of obligation. I'm grateful for the light through the kitchen window on certain mornings, for the birds outside, for my granddaughter's drawings, for the fact that I'm still here, still noticing things, still capable of understanding even if it's too late to change much. But I'm also carrying this knowing, this understanding that I built my own cage and then spent 80 years decorating it instead of looking for the door. And the door was never locked. That's the part that sits in my chest like a stone. It was never locked. Thank you for sitting with me, for listening to an old woman work through things she should have understood decades ago. If you want to sit with me again, I'll be here. For a little while longer, anyway. Take care of yourselves, whatever that means to you.